Next on the news, Pope Leo XIV putting his words into action, speaking with Russian President Vladimir Putin about the peace efforts in Ukraine. A Queens Catholic man is on a pilgrimage against hate. We catch up with him as he bikes through Poland to raise awareness against rising anti-Semitism. A trip to a tattoo shop could help strengthen your relationship to God.
If you're looking for some new ink, this Catholic tattoo artist is guiding his clients through faith. I'm Katie Vasquez, and I'll have his story coming up.
Plus, a food fight between two states. Who has the better pizza, New York or Connecticut? I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now. Pope Leo XIV made a call for peace on Wednesday night. The Holy Father speaking to Russian President Vladimir Putin about the efforts to end the war in Ukraine. Currents News' Jenna McDermott tells us more about that phone call.
Russian President Vladimir Putin called Pope Leo XIV to discuss the situation in Ukraine and efforts for peace. The conversation between the pontiff and the head of state took place 2 days after the second round of negotiations between Russian and Ukrainian delegations ended in Istanbul. That meeting in Turkey concluded on June 2nd without a ceasefire agreement, but leaders did reach a new deal to exchange the largest number of prisoners since the beginning of the war. This took place at the end of May with a total of 780 prisoners exchanged. According to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, the next round of exchanges will involve 1,000 prisoners from each side. The priority is severely wounded soldiers and young people between 18 and 25 years old. All this seems to have been part of the phone call between Pope Leo and the Russian leader. The office of the Kremlin confirmed that Putin informed the Pope about specific agreements regarding the prisoner exchange. They also noted that the Russian leader emphasized that every possible measure is being taken to reunite children with their families. As for the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV called on Russia to make a gesture in favor of peace. He also stressed to Putin the importance of dialogue in seeking a solution to the conflict. Jenna McDermott, Currents News.
Pope Leo has also spoken to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The leaders had a phone call days after the Holy Father's election, and the pontiff met privately with Zelensky after his inaugural mass. We have an update now on the Queens Catholic man who's making a pilgrimage against hate. Victor Mooney stopped at the Yasna Gora Monastery in Poland, a shrine dedicated to the Blessed Mother that has become a place of pilgrimage in the country. He's currently riding his bike across Poland as a call to action against anti-Semitism, a pilgrimage inspired by the late Pope Francis's visit to Auschwitz in 2016. The concentration camp is Victor's next stop. He says he's weak, but his faith is on fire. Catholic Academy students rolled up their sleeves to help furry friends in need. St. Adalbert Catholic Academy in Elmhurst just wrapped up a service project where they cleaned used prescription pill bottles they collected for an animal shelter in Manhattan. The bottles will be sterilized by the shelter and used to sort the pet's medication bought in bulk. A true act of service from the kids. The 8th graders of Our Lady of Grace Catholic Academy are leaving behind a lasting legacy. 24 kids from the Brooklyn school beautifying the playground, thanks to a $10,000 St. Elizabeth Ann Seton grant, which provides assistance to Catholic elementary schools within the Diocese of Brooklyn. The 8th graders added a bunch of new elements to the space, including sensory games like musical dance chimes, where children can jump on the tiles to make a chime sound. The parents also pitched in, hiring a graffiti artist to paint a mural celebrating all of God's creation. An artist in Manhattan is calling himself the tattoo minister. Tommy Houlihan proudly displays his faith outside his shop, Times Square Tattoo, and uses his ink to evangelize those who step inside. Currents News' Katie Vasquez has that story.
Tourists looking for a permanent souvenir of their trip to the Big Apple typically stop by Times Square Tattoo. But along with the new ink,
oh, what is that?
That's a blessed miraculous medal.
They go home with a miraculous medal from shop owner Tommy Houlihan.
Oftentimes I go to big crucifix and I look up it and I thank him for letting me do the work. Everything's blessed.
Tommy is a born and bred New Yorker who grew up Catholic in Hell's Kitchen. He recommitted to his faith 3 years ago when he heard the testimony of a friend.
It's been in maybe the last 5 or 6 years where I'm really like buckling down, and maybe it's the last 3 years is where I, started with, with the miraculous medal.
After tattooing for decades, Tommy decided to hand over his shop, which is adorned in crosses and sacred images, to the Blessed Mother, and vowed to use the space as a ministry.
She's got nobody backing her up in tattooing, nobody. These are images that I don't...
The artist refuses to tattoo images that he considers demonic or evil.
No Harry Potter, nothing from the play Wicked, no alchemy symbols. I can't do anything that's even remotely touching witchcraft.
Tommy says the shop's location at the crossroads of the world makes the work even more necessary.
If you walk into Times Square and you look at the advertising, it's nothing but blasphemy after blasphemy after blasphemy. It's outright mockery of God.
He hopes clients will enjoy the memento etched into their skin, and his ink will be used to evangelize others.
I'm hoping for an instant conversion if they're not Catholic, right? If they are Catholic and they're bad Catholics, I want them to become good Catholics. If they're good Catholics, I want them to become great Catholics. And that medal is a very powerful tool to do that. Because
Tommy believes the aftercare for his tattoos includes getting closer to Christ. In Times Square, Katie Vasquez, Current News.
While you're walking around Times Square, you might notice New York is currently in a food fight with neighboring Connecticut. The Constitution state has put up these billboards around New York City claiming to have the best pizza in the country. They're near some of the Big Apple's top pizza spots like Roberta's in Bushwick, Brooklyn, and Lombardi's in Little Italy. Connecticut's chief marketing officer says the campaign comes from a sense of local pride.
I think for a state like Connecticut, which so many people call a pass-through state or a drive-through state, I think the reality is we're showing the world that we are a drive-to state, and we're giving the people who are here a sense of pride and identity that maybe Connecticut didn't have before.
I think New York still wins that fight. The state is also doing digital campaigns on social media in New Jersey, Chicago, and Detroit. Bishop Robert Brennan spoke to Currents News about his favorite New York food staples shortly after being installed as the shepherd of the Diocese of Brooklyn in this digital exclusive called A Minute with Bishop Brennan.
That's a hard question because I tease, you know that when I was in Columbus, I gave up carbohydrates and sugar. And I think the Lord had a sense of humor because he sent me to the land of pasta, pizza, and pastry, all of which I love a great deal. So actually, I'm eating a lot of meat here and vegetables.
So are you not doing
ordinarily,
pizza?
It's some kind of burgers or steak and a vegetable.
No pizza?
No pizza.
Wow. Bishop Brennan went on to say he does love foods like pizza and bagels. The New York native grew up on it, after all. For more content you can't find anywhere else, be sure to follow Currents News and The Tablet on Facebook and on Instagram at Catholic News Updates. That is this Currents News Update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.